Welcome to Euroforum UG, where we address Ugandans from Europe, USA, Asia, Africa, Australia, and all over the globe. We share experiences, opinions, and expertise on current affairs, educative lifestyle, religion, and family matters. Follow, subscribe, and like our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Euroforum UG. You can also join our live shows every weekend on our social media platforms. For more information, visit our social media platforms or email us at euroforumug@gmail.com or WhatsApp us on +4740 574040. Euroforum UG, communicating with peers.
Good afternoon or good evening. How are you doing? My name is Janita, and I am here to present to you an amazing topic today. This is Euroforum UG, and we are excited to be here today. I am going to talk about the untold mysteries of fatherhood. And with that, I have amazing guests with me. Now, this is a topic that I think is quite important. It's a topic that, of course, ties in with family, it ties in with mothers, it ties in with a lot of other things. And I feel that often this is a topic maybe that is overlooked, the thoughts, the ideas, the feelings, all these mysteries. What does it mean to be a father? And what does it take? What is it that they sometimes can walk around with and they don't talk about? And so in relation to that, I have amazing guests that are going to help me to put a light on what it is. What are the untold mysteries of fatherhood, and how can we dissect them? And so I have the amazing two guests. One is a father, Ronald Kaziwe, based in Spain. He will come in a few minutes and present himself. And then I have our wonderful friend, Mr. Benjamin Mukasa, based in Belgium, a father also. So those two I have. One is the father. We were going to look at a more biblical, religious aspect of fatherhood. I think that was quite important, right? Because that's where it all stems from. And then we're going to have a gentleman, our friend Benjamin Mukasa, who will also introduce himself before we get started. So once again, thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. And I hope you take part in this show here today, because your voice is needed, your ideas, your opinions are also needed. So that is what it is today. And without further ado, I'm gonna introduce the first guest, who is a Mr. Father Kazibwe from Spain. Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself, Father? And I'm so blessed and so delighted that you could make it here today. Thank you for taking out the time.
A very good evening to the moderator of Euroforum Uganda and to all of you following this conversation. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm truly very happy to be part of this discussion. Well, this is very important, a theme, the untold mysteries of father. Untold mysteries of fatherhood. It is quite a very important theme because fatherhood is often quiet. It is sometimes misunderstood, and many times it is only noticed when something is lacking, when something is missing, or when something goes wrong. Yet fatherhood is one of the strongest gifts in a family.
Yeah.
Without father in a family or a father in a society, there is something really that is really lacking. There is some
Yeah.
bit of essence lacking. So my
Yeah.
name is Reverend Father Ronald Kaziwe. I'm a Catholic priest of the Archdiocese of Kampala. I'm born in Namungona from Nakulabye Parish, and I do here study canon law. I do study a license in canon law. Canon law is the ecclesiastical law. So later, I'll become a lawyer of the Catholic Church. I've worked in Uganda, as a chaplain. I've done a lot of pastoral work in Mitala Maria Catholic Parish, in Gaba Catholic Parish, and here I am. It's a little bit of me. I'm very delighted to be part of this.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you so much, Father. Delighted to have you. Hmm? And then, without further ado, I also want to introduce Mr. Benjamin Kaziwe, who's gonna, no, Mukasa, who's gonna come in and speak of himself. Introduce yourself a little bit for us, so that we know who we're talking to today.
Okay, thank you very much,
You're
Jenny.
welcome. You're welcome.
Good evening, everybody, and we thank you for watching your Forum UG. And you're welcome to the show. And the show is a very special show because I take fatherhood as a very special thing in my life. And yes, let's discuss, let's interact. If you have any questions, you are welcome. Oh yeah, I live in Belgium and I come from Kampala. I grew up a bit in Nakulabye, then I grew up also in Kawempe, and I also lived a bit in Matindia. So yeah, I've been all over the place, and
Wow.
I play football, I play basketball, I play cricket. So yeah, and I work in transport and logistics.
Mm,
Yeah, that's
fantastic.
my
Fantastic.
yes.
Great. Good to have you. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Mukasa. And yes, I mean, I couldn't have gotten better guests today, and I am looking forward to of course, interacting and having a bit of discussion. What have I done today? Today is the 17th of May. I have been to church. I went to church this morning, and I was out a football match with my son, the youngest one, and I yeah, came back, went for shopping, did my steps. I've been really active today. I feel like I've done well today. I've reached I set like a goal for how many steps I have to take a day. And today I actually did double of that goal. So I'm really, really happy. I know, right? So that's how my day has been. And then obviously in the background, I've been thinking about this show and looking forward to have a chat or two with you, my dear guests, and of course those who are gonna interact. So without further ado, again, our topic today is the mysteries of fatherhood. I'm not a father, so I am a mother, but I've always thought to myself that a mother cannot be without a father, and a father cannot be without a mother. They go hand in hand. So for me to become a mother, there is a father in place. And I've often thought about the male child in our society, um, how often society describes or the pressures that also the male child sometimes can feel. And this is the male child that then later on becomes a father. There are many aspects where they don't necessarily open up as much as we women would, the girl child, about issues that touches them that are kind of stares in the background. So what I want to ask first and foremost our dear father here is Father Ronald is, before we can start about talking about fatherhood, I think it's important maybe to look at it to get a view of what is it biblically. What does the Bible say about a father? What is a father? Like briefly, what is a father? Or at least what is a father supposed to be biblically? And then we can take the discussion from there.
Yeah. As a priest, absolutely, I will speak from a faith perspective, but
Yeah.
I hope what I'm going to say and speak to everyone because fatherhood is not only an aspect for the region or one culture or another, rather,
Mm,
it is universal and touches
mm,
so many aspects of the human heart, the human person. So
mm,
basically, in every faith, we have some element of God in us.
mm,
In the Christian belief, there is an aspect of God. God is the Father. God
mm,
who is always benevolent, who is
mm,
omniscient, who is omnipotent, who always loves us, who always wishes the best for us. And basically, that could represent who really a father ought to be. Mm?
Mm.
But I want us to think about three simple things tonight: the beauty of fatherhood in the image
Yeah.
of God, the
Yes.
burdens that fathers carry, to be perfect like the God the Father, and how we can better appreciate and support our beloved physical fathers, just like we appreciate God in our daily livings,
Mm.
the life of faith, and all that we do. A father
Yes.
is not only someone who gives life, just like we could think, but there is someone who hopes life grow well. Human
Yes.
fatherhood it reflects really something of God's own fatherly care. I really had a very interesting psalm that I've picked from the scripture. And
Mm.
I would allow you viewers to to share with you a little about this psalm. It is Psalm 103, verse 13. Psalm 103, verse 13. And it goes, as a father has compassion for his children, so the Lord has compassion for those who fear him. As the father has compassion for his children, so the Lord has compassion for those who fear him. What does this mean? This means that a real father is not only a provider, like every person would think, like we always pray to God in the fatherly image, but also a man of compassion, compassion that comes deeply from our hearts. He sees his children with love and carries them in his bosom, always has a gentle heart for them.
Mhm.
Basically, in that image of the scripture, but also in tradition, but also in scripture, we have an element of Saint Joseph. Oh, those who are Catholics probably could be knowing, and those who do not have faith, Saint Joseph, who is the father of Jesus. Saint Joseph,
Yes.
a beautiful model of fatherhood. He was
Yes.
quiet, working, protective, obedient, and faithful, present always. And
Mm.
these are the qualities that can be admired by believers and unbelievers alike.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. I mean, wow, that is a lot of, I hear gentleness, I hear compassion, I hear faithful, I hear protective, and it is indeed a wonderful psalm that I think it seems simple, but yet there's so much in it, in particular because of the compassion word, that comes in there. And I think that actually describes, because I believe you say that it's not about it, it also, God also talks about the beauty of fatherhood.
Right.
That is really wonderful to me, because quite often we in society do not get to hear enough of the beauty of fatherhood, because I think we so often think about other aspects of fatherhood, or maybe the quietness, the calmness. There's not a lot of talk about the beauty. Now, I want to move on to Mr. Benjamin Mukasa. And again, I welcome you on the show. I just want to touch on a bit on your experience, or on your opinion about the specific thing of the beauty of fatherhood. Is there any aspects where you have experienced the beauty of fatherhood, and maybe the parts that are not as beautiful? You understand? You know what I mean? The things that maybe are hidden uh, under that particular beauty of fatherhood. If you know what I mean, things that you may not necessarily talk about, and maybe tell us a little bit about what your experience is in fatherhood. Maybe like a little bit of, are you a father? What yourself?
Thank you, John. To start off, I didn't say that I'm a father. I am a father of two. I have my firstborn daughter and my secondborn son. And my first experience as a father is was magical. I think magical and spiritual. So this is uh, this is where it starts from. The first time I met my daughter after she was born, I took her in my arms and I put her on my chest, and we both fell asleep for hours. That was my first experience as a father. I can never explain it. It was really magical, and I don't know if there will ever be another moment like that in my
Mm,
life.
mm,
Also, with my son, when he was born, unfortunately, I wasn't around for his birth. But first time I held him, he was like about old. I put him on my chest and fell asleep for hours. That
mm,
was really magical for me. And
mm.
every single day, and very unfortunately, all these moments I have photos for them. So
Yes.
every single day it plays that photo. It photo plays in my head, and the feeling that I had that time still plays in my heart, in my
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah. So that's the beauty. That's the side of the beauty.
That is the
And
start
what a
of
wonderful experience
that
you
is
had
just
there.
the beginning of being a father.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's
And
just
that experience you had there, do you feel, the whole thing of, falling asleep and all that whole spiritual and I guess I just said the magical experience of it. Is there any aspects where you would say that it just got did it get better? Did it get how would you explain fatherhood later on in the years of your children? Like when we talk about the beauty of fatherhood or we talk about the mysteries, is there anything else? Because often you would hear that some people would say, some would have the opinion of that fathers do not know what it feels like to be a mother or to be, that aspect of it. Would you say that your love for your children is, how would you describe that love between you and your children? These are things that are not usually discussed, but I personally would love to know, what is it? Because we usually say women are, fethu singo kubanga fethu fethu zala abana fethu ita mu process say fethu singo baga la baba singo bonding eyo is more between mother and a child. What is your opinion on that, Mr. Mukasa?
well, first of all, to compare the two things already, then you've lost the plot, as
Exactly.
Dr. Kampala say, you've lost the
Yes.
plot. You
Yeah.
cannot compare these two things because they are completely different.
Absolutely.
And the moment you start comparing them, then you'll find one inadequate of the other, and then you'll find that they are completely incomparable. I can never compare my first experience of picking up my newborn and putting them on my chest and
With.
saying, "Thank you, God, this is mine, my own blood, my own flesh and blood." I cannot
Mm,
compare it to the 6 months the 9 months the
nine
mother,
months. Yeah.
and then the day of giving birth, and then after giving birth, it's completely different. And
Absolutely.
you cannot compare the two, and you
Mm,
cannot underestimate the two. But at the same time, being the father is is because God created us, those who believe in God. God created us to reproduce. So he put
mhm,
he put a spirit in us to love what we reproduce.
mhm.
And
Yes.
the moment you reproduce, it is something that is mandated by nature, that you fall in love with it, you want to protect it, you want to take care of it, you want to see it grow and blossom and succeed and all these things. So once you reproduce, then your mission in life is to see your offspring succeed in life. That
Yes.
I'm just saying this because this is rule of the thumb, but there are exceptions.
Yes. Yeah.
There are people who
Yeah.
don't like kids. There are
No,
people who don't take care of kids. There are people, well, you see, that alone, that part. So even if it's you step away from parenthood and you say, for example, um, you were doing something in life, like let's say you start this show and you want to see it grow, and then you have love for it and you want to see it grow. This is the same thing with with parenthood. When you
mm,
start something, you want to see it succeed and grow and be the best version that it can ever be.
Yes, 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 yes.
With me, like, let's say with my daughter, because I spend a lot of time with my daughter, every time they call you Papa, Papa, where are you? You just jump up because you want to know what's going on.
Yeah, because it's yes,
When they come to you and they ask you, I want to do this, you want to make sure you give them what they're asking for.
yes,
When
yes,
they're in pain, you are in pain too.
yes, yes, yes.
They are sad, it's
And that's
the older they grow is the more you bond with them, is the more you understand them, the more you love
yeah,
them, the more you
yeah,
want to protect them. And I'll
yes.
tell you, even when we choose to compare fatherhood and motherhood, well, I would say that in a father would give their life for their children, and a mother would give their life for children. So how do you compare? Why would a father give his life for his children? Why would the mother give his life for? It's the same thing. The emotional, the physical, the mental, the psychological, the spiritual connection to this child is what drives you to these things.
Thank you so much. Wow. That is an amazing submission. And I mean, a submission, as in there's so much in what you just say that can be, that needs to be dissected. But I think the most important thing there, where you say that you cannot compare. And I also just want to emphasize to my viewers that we are not here to compare the love of a mother and the love of a father, but we're here to actually look into what is it that fathers experience, what are the father's experiences with this whole idea or with this whole thing of being a father, and what does faith have to do with it. And so in that regards, I definitely agree with that whole idea where you say that you can't compare with the 9 months, of course not. But there's an aspect of it where you take a perspective of where you come in and you do what you got to do. But just because you didn't carry it for the 9 month, it doesn't mean that you're prohibited to have feelings and have the spiritual magical experiences with your child. I have a question there from for our father. Father, Ronald, is is fatherhood a calling for everybody? Would you say fatherhood is something that everybody should be? Is it a calling, or is it, what is it
Well,
in
thank
terms
you
of
so
one's
much.
faith?
Thank you so very much. I would say we have different types of vocations. Every person is given a vocation depending on who really God planned them to be. Okay?
Mm,
And
mm,
this vocation always keeps following you. If you don't do that, if you don't fulfill that mission, it always comes back in some way or another. Others are called in a vocation, like I'm having the vocation to the priesthood. I have
mm.
other friends who are taking in the vocation to serve God in the religious life. Others have the vocation of being parents in a family. But again, others have a vocation of living a single life.
Yeah,
So all vocations need to be respected because there
yeah,
is an objective and there is a special mission
yes,
attributed to that.
yes,
Family, I would say, family is a special vocation
mm,
because all these other vocations derive and are produced from a
mm,
family. I'm a
yes,
priest. We don't fall from heaven. We come from family.
yes,
I really have an experience of remembering how my dad and mom really struggled to see that would come up, that would thrive amidst the humbleness that we had in our family, in this special vocation.
mm,
It's a vocation because it gives us integral formation. Charity
yes,
begins at home. Like my brother Benjamin said, the bonding that is between him and his children always begins because of his presence as a
mm,
father. in a
Mm.
home.
Mm.
It's a vocation that is always nurtured, first and foremost, nurtured by acceptance, nurtured by humility,
Mm.
nurtured by realizing and accepting who you are. Okay?
Mm.
I
Mm.
accepted my vocation as a priest, and this is who I am for the rest of my
Yes.
life. I'll live a life of chastity, a life of obedience, and a life of celibacy. This is my
Mm.
vocation. As a
Yes.
father, accept your
Yes.
vocation as well.
Yes.
Take lead, take care of the home, take care of the children, give them the integral formation, give them the spiritual formation, give them the intellectual, give them the human values,
Mm.
because we are living in an open community where there is a lot out there. You know,
Yes.
the state, for example, who don't love your children like you, a dad, like
Mm.
you, a mom. So you
Mm.
should be the first person in this vocation to impact the good
The child
values, to
and the
impact
children.
the strength. I remember picking up this vocation to become a priest was an inspiration from my dad. He always took care of our small Christian community. He always welcomed the priest who came. I, I I really admired the way he was humble, the way he was really open to service.
Yes.
It always begins at home, and it is a vocation, it is a special calling to be a
Yes.
parent. That's why you always have to take responsibility, especially if
Yes.
God gives you an opportunity
To be.
really to give birth to your children as a dad. Carry your
Yes.
family. Carry your family. Of course,
Yes.
we can't deny the fact that there is a cross to carry too. There are challenges also as a father that you have to endure, that you have to face. Sometimes they are unspoken, and the community will not know. Dad, as a father, you always
Mm.
expected to be visible. We shall always look at you whenever
Mm.
you're present. We, as your
Yes.
children, a special
Yes.
calling. Thank
Wow.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, there's so much to take part in. I mean, I love the way you describe that fathers should cover their family. That fathers should, fathers should also be ready. There are, of course, challenges in being fatherhood. And I want to take hold of that, of these challenges you spoke about, especially the unspoken challenges, the unspoken experiences of fatherhood that society may not know of, and that until you take up that vacation and you know what what it embodies, like you've just expressed it there, a father, it can be it can be difficult to say that you are a present father, or that you are a father that should be in, perhaps, in that role. I want to ask, in that relation, I want to ask, Mr. Mukasa, when we talk about challenges that are unspoken about, the challenges that actually make you perhaps a stronger father, perhaps a more competent father, perhaps challenges that sometime will in fact be a challenge in being a father. Can you perhaps share with us some of those challenges that you have had, those unspoken ones that father, because it was spoken, or is there any, can you share with us any of those challenges? Have you had any? And maybe two or three, and maybe explain what did you get from them? What did they teach you? What did they tell you about fatherhood?
Uh, Thank you very much, Joan, and thank you very much, Reverend Father Kazigwe. You said something that is really, really important uh, in fatherhood, and that is acceptance of your
Yes.
vocation.
Yes.
Once you say, okay, here we are, I am a father now, so let's go, let's do this. But the moment you haven't considered it in your head that you're a father, you're gonna make so many mistakes in life, and you're not going to sit in your role as a father. And that trickles down to the children and trickles down to their mothers and then trickles down to generations. And when we look at fatherhood, we are not looking at the child you give birth to. We're looking at family. And the family, it goes on, it extends beyond your father, you, and your children. It is a family tree. So that is fatherhood. And when you don't step in your place as a father, then you're breaking your family tree, you're breaking your ancestry and all these things, because ancestry is built on fatherhood. So once we understand these things, then we understand better, we as fathers, what we should do so that we propagate the next generation to the next generation and to the next generation. But my first experience, I think I should not say my first experience, but I didn't see my father much enough when I was growing up, because we were living in Uganda, and if you know very well, I was born in 1978, and from that time till the mid 90s, Uganda was not the safest place, you know. So my dad, most of my life was in exile. So before he went to exile, um, I remember one time, because grand my grandparents have a very big house. So my grandfather had passed away in the early 80s. So my dad was living in one wing of the house, and my grandmother was living in the other wing of the house. So, but every evening I made a huge problem for my grandmother and my siblings, because I didn't want to sleep in my grandmother's wing. I wanted to sleep in my dad's bedroom, because in my dad's bedroom there was also a small bed for a child. And I was thinking, why can't I sleep in that bed with my dad? You know? So presence of a father is also a very important thing. You might not see what you bring, but your presence is a very spiritual, is a very moral thing. It gives order to society. Like when we talk about the forefathers of the United States of America, our forefathers. Every time you talk about forefathers, think about order. What is the order? When you talk about the father of a nation, that's normally, usually the president of the country. What does he represent? Order, you know? So even with your children, whether you live in the same house with them or not in the same house, you have a sense of order. When you have to do something and they tell you, go and ask your father, you know what that means, huh? You know you're going he's going to be very critical about what you're asking, yeah? So
Yes.
that is what fatherhood means. But
Okay.
one of the challenges I had with being a father here in Europe is that me and the mother of my firstborn, we separated while my child was still too young, and the law did not see much importance in me as a father of a child who is very young. And every time we went to court to ask for custody, they would say, but he's still very young, needs the mother. And I always asked the judge, what makes you think the mother will look after the child more than I can look after the child? And I said, okay, when you say breastfeeding, yeah, okay, breastfeeding, what more? What more? Can the child survive without breastfeeding? Things like that. So even by law, a father faces challenges.
Yes.
Even with just social sympathy. Not
Yes.
many people sympathize with the father's plight.
No. No.
Story is the mother. So
Yes.
I'm talking about challenges that are institutional and that are
Yes.
social. So
Mm,
we
mm.
sometimes to get to the core of it, we need to address all these things.
Yes. 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 I mean, that is I think you're hitting the nail, in the right place there. I think when you mentioned the culture part, you say while you're living in while here in Europe, and I think there's an element of, as you say, people that are not sympathizing with fathers, where usually it will be the mother's rights, regardless of what the situation might be, that are taken in as number one. And there sometimes, of course, one can think, Naye Kwegamba, is it for the mother's sake or is it for the child's sake that you're doing this or that this is taking place?
That is a very
What?
good question you always also need to ask. Or in
Yeah.
whose favor are you doing that?
Yes, yes. I mean, is it because you have a bunch of papers that one must take off, or is it, as you say, can a child not survive without breastfeeding? And if, unfortunately, the society that we live in is, I suppose, slightly different from back home, where back home, I suppose it's more, I wouldn't even know because I think I might have to ask Father Kazue on this one. Um, what is the culture differences that are in here in Europe and then maybe back in Uganda, and what challenges do those bring? Because I believe that fathers back home have more of a say, or they're more acknowledged, or they're more seen, um, whereas you get fathers this end, they're not, the personal rights are not as strong as many fathers would think. And my question will probably be around, what can one do in that situation? I mean, what is it that we can do, Father, to to this whole thing where Benjamin just said that, when you have a child and you go to court and they say whether the breastfeeding part of it, they have to take the breast, so you can't have the child, but actually a child can survive without uh, uh, breastfeeding, but the mental that can do to a man or to a father, that's a big thing that's usually not spoken of in your work, Father. Have you met young men that are experiencing these dilemmas? Of course we want the child to be okay, of course we want, but I also feel have a need to be a father. I mean, this is something, as you say, this is something that I've been, this is my vocation, and being away from my daughter or from my son, this is not be fulfilling my role. Have you worked with young men that are going through this and finding it hard to deal with the dilemmas of wanting to be there, but you're almost not allowed to be there because of the situation that is at hand? How do you advise these young men, Father Kazimu?
Oh, first and foremost, we're looking at an aspect of a family is natural and it cuts across all cultures. You talk of a family, either let it be in Uganda, let it be in Brazil, in Amazon, well, here in Europe, a family naturally is a family.
Yes.
And when you look at the cultural differences, looking at the current challenges that the family is facing, well, the family is one of the strong institutions that are really very much attached. Like we
Yes.
know, as in the Catholic Church, depending on the relativism that is going on, every person wants to do what makes them happy. Like this is
Mm,
what we see in this current generation. And little by little, it's also eating us back in Africa, though we
yes.
had very, very strong values without any compromise. Now,
Yes.
little by little, we are buying a little few of those cultures. First and foremost, where we come from, we have very strong cultures that we always protect, that we don't compromise about.
Mm,
Secondly, we have to agree that parents are not supermen.
no.
We believe that at all moments there can be crisis.
My fathers,
Of
yes.
course, crisis never means breaking down. Crisis never means the connection. They because when we talk of a marriage, we're talking in In a Christian, in a Christian view, a marriage is a covenant which is indissoluble between a man and a woman who come together, united by one consent. And this consent never comes to an end because it becomes a sacrament in the Catholic Church with a dignity. And I will find that, well, some probably some people have entered into marriages, they have entered into unions that of course give out life, probably with some bit of, they have not had a very good formation
Mm.
of what they are entering into, you
Into,
know,
yes,
because we are
yes.
living in sometimes a permissive community, you know.
Mm.
And now there is the family at one side, but also there is a law at the other side. And what is law? Law is the ordinance of reason given by that who has care of the community for the common good. Okay, and that law is promulgated in the community. Law, we can also say it is universal and cuts across
Yes.
in the application of the law. So
Mm-hmm.
the law is for the is for the common good. Probably when a child is given birth to, you would realize in Europe, you no longer have so much rights depending on that child that you've given birth to. However much, this is my son, it belongs to the state. And they
Mm.
always take care of this as their own, first and foremost.
Mm.
So, like Benjamin gave a very wonderful, awesome submission about who carries the child for 9 months. Okay. And a father, of course, after mom doing this tremendous job, carrying the child and then giving birth to them, then the father takes on there and then
Yes.
having a right is a having a right. You could compare it to parenthood. It is a shared responsibility. It is not a one man. We can't say that this child belongs to the mom, this child belongs to the dad. Now this child is still young. Does it have the authority to exercise its
To
right?
choose. Yes.
It's a juridical person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but does it have the right yet to exercise its right? So I think sometimes, first and foremost, is the patience that we as parents need to have between ourselves.
Yes.
Then, secondly, for our children, they are innocent, they even don't know. We have had sometimes that kids these days in the United States are even they're applying to the courts of law.
Yes. To get
They're opening cases
their
against their
own.
parents.
Yes. Yes.
I
Yes.
didn't ask this guy to give birth to me. So
Yes.
I'm appealing to you that you know,
Mm.
sometimes there is to count one is a subject of rights. We look at the age, of course. We look at the reason this person is reasonable. We look at, is he now fully, is he ready to be fully affiliated into the community? I think it would be really awesome if the parents take on the responsibility of bringing up a child together
Mm.
so that they entail the integral personality.
Mm.
We have seen it is a little bit challenging. Single mothers bringing up a child, it is very challenging.
Mm.
Well, if that is what it is, what do we say
Mm.
about it? It's also
Mm.
very challenging for a dad to bring up a child
His
single-handedly
own.
because we'll be
Mm-hmm.
lacking in some bit of elements and character.
Mm.
Well, the courts sometimes decide for the case of protecting the common good, which
Mm-hmm.
sometimes sounds reasonable. That a child
Mm.
grows maybe with a mom. If the dad,
Mm.
no, I don't want to say this, maybe dad seems to be a little bit irresponsible, then
No,
it,
but that's
it is a little bit it is really complicated depending on the different communities where we from where we come from.
yes.
In
Yes.
Africa, it is totally a very different atmosphere. In
Mm.
Europe, it is, you know, the constitutions are really a little bit quite different, especially when it comes to protection of the rights of
The
the
privacy
children.
of the
And
person.
you could, Benjamin, I don't know if you really have some content that I'm
Mm,
presenting over to you in
mm,
this kind of submission, my brother.
yes. So Benjamin, Benjamin, did you catch that throw over by Pastor? Thank you so much, Father. Thank you so much. And I think I think there,
I think Reverend Father is doing very well. I will not I will not regurgitate his words.
I don't know, Benjamin, what you think of that, because
yeah,
we really have we are challenged by different circumstances,
and culture
and
background.
sometimes we just have to obey the systems that we
Yeah,
entered into, willingly or unwillingly. It is
unwilling.
what it is. Here we
Mm,
are. We have to
mhm,
dance according to the tunes, and
mm,
we don't have our hands are tied. We don't have the
mm,
powers.
mm,
You know,
mm. What do you feel about that,
Benjamin.
Benjamin? Yeah.
think I think the law is the law. That is one thing, and also even cultural law, if I might say, is also that. So the way a father is perceived by law and the way a father is mandated by law is one thing, and what culture mandates, sometimes they are the same or they overlap. But then when it comes to the rights, that is a bit different. So with fatherhood, what is expected from you is crystal clear.
Mm,
But at the same time, what you have the right to is very unclear.
yeah, yeah.
You're
I
expected
think,
to provide, you're expected to to
Eh,
to protect and to take care of, and you're expected to be present. But when it comes to you, what you want, then it becomes a bit vague.
yeah,
When, for example, I'll tell you, when the law is coming after you with child support, they'll come at you with all guns blazing. You can even go to court. But the moment you start asking for custody, then it becomes a very difficult situation.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a
And
huge
so,
imbalance and a huge challenge.
yeah, so there's a disconnect between the two. And I'll probably say, in some instances, now I'm speaking from a female perspective, from a mother perspective, that there some would argue that, well, if you can't give me child support, why would you have access to these children?
Exactly.
um yes, and if you are not, if you're choosing to be non-present regardless of the circumstance, but you choose not to be present, why would i why would I give you, why would you have access to the children? Where is the love? You claim to love the children, you claim to love this and that, but what, how are you showing that to them when you're not there, when you don't show up, you don't do the things that Father mentioned earlier, protective, being compassion, being faith. I mean, all these things that a father should be, you're not committing to doing those things, but you are now asking, or you are running away from child support. Or you're asking, or you want aspects into a child's life. And so some mothers, some single mothers will claim, because I've been doing a little bit of a digging, a case studies on my own single mother friends, and they'll say the biggest problem is that, yes, they are, he is the father to my children, but he's not the dad. He's the father, but he doesn't show up. He doesn't do the things that he's supposed to do.
So
And that, in some regards, are fathers that become, they're mothers that become very, should I say, where I would say for me, personally, techiba kirungi kuyingiza mu issues zamwe, because either you're broke, either they pay, either they don't pay. they're still the parents to that child. And so this whole thing of not giving access, I don't believe in that personally, because you are doing a disfavor to the child. You may think that you are playing a game or doing something that is that works for you, but you're not necessarily always, that's not always for the favor of the child, because the child will always belong to that father. But to go back to my main point is, what advice or what is your take on, and this is a question to both of you, what's your take on this whole thing of, well, the father doesn't show up, he claims he loves the kids, where is it, how are you showing up when you don't love, how are you showing that love when you are not present, even in situations where the door is open for you, you can come in. I know there are situations where mothers are really, really, really strict. They don't allow their clothes. But let's say the door is open to you. You can come whenever you want and come and see your kids as you want. But you don't. Where does that leave fatherhood? Where, I mean, is it because fathers are really going through some untold mysteries of pain, of anger, of anguish, of disappointment, that they're not living up to that expectation? It's a very long question, but just follow me and pick out a few things you remember to answer.
Well, let me just go quick. For me to understand something like that notion, I try to flip the notion.
Mm.
When it comes to motherhood, is it just because you gave birth to the child you are a mother? Is it just because you live in the same house with the child you pay the doesn't it make you a mother? Well, you see, once you flip, then you can understand things better. So just because you give child support to the mother, it makes you a father.
Mm.
So how about if I'm not giving child support, but I am there for my child? Does it make me a father? So when
To
you
me,
flip these things, to understand things better, you have to attack them and you have to understand them through an understanding point of view, not an argument point of view. Or
mhm,
because these sometimes we get so dwelled into points that we forget that we're dealing with lives of children, destinies of children. For you to have access to your child, first of all, is a right. It doesn't
absolutely.
matter whether you give child support or not.
Mhm,
You are the father,
mm,
whether it is by law or by culture.
mhm,
You have the right. Child
mm.
support, that is the secondary thing.
Secondary.
They
Mm.
have to look at how much you have.
Yes,
What can you give?
yes.
Then they can look at child support. But uh, it's very unfortunate that a father, at some point, I'm not saying, there is always the rule of the thumb.
Of
Never
course, of
exceptions.
course, of course.
Fathers don't get to choose not to be with their children, and then they have to pay for it, and then they have to be denied access to it. I mean, 50-50 custody, our children should never go through custody things. It's
Mm,
always better you stay as a family and you
mm,
take care of kids as a couple.
mm,
One father will agree with me on that.
mm,
But if
mhm,
it fails, then what is the next step? It's
mm.
not about who gives what most. Well, exceptions. I will not deal with exceptions there. I will say
Mm.
there are mothers who don't care about the kids.
Yes,
There are mothers who will stay with the kids, but they will not be good mothers, even though
yes,
they stay with the kids. There
yes,
are fathers who will be terrible. They will be completely absent.
mhm,
They will not care about the kids. They will not provide for the kids. They will not protect the kids. They will not do anything that a father should be doing.
yes,
And there are also fathers who are denied access. And
yes.
then in the end, they are stamped as bad fathers,
Absolutely.
bad fathers. But I mean, if you deny a man access to their child, what do you want them to do?
Mm.
to break into the house and take the child.
Mm.
I mean, what do
That'll
you
be
want?
another crime. That'll be another
Yeah,
crime.
yeah. That is what so what they do, the parents, the fathers, they step back. So now in stepping back, they become absentee fathers. It's not that they are
Mm.
bad fathers, but
Mm.
it's just because they have been denied the access and the opportunity to be fathers they
Mm.
want to be. And it will hurt that I'm excluding the emotional,
Yeah,
the psychological
aspect of it.
of it. I'll tell you, when you look at suicide rates, you'll see fathers that have been denied access to their parents is way higher
Yes,
than even
I'm telling
mothers who have been denied access to their children.
you. Yes,
That also the mental, psychological aspect of it. With fathers, it doesn't exist. Nobody is sympathetic with a father.
yes.
And
Okay,
that is
yes.
something at some point a mother needs to address. Okay, this is the father of my child. How is
Yeah.
he? Whatever I'm doing, what is it doing to him?
Mm.
Is it going to make him? Do I want to raise? Do I want to raise a child who doesn't have a father, or do I want to raise a child? I mean, you picked this man to make a baby with them.
Mm.
Yeah, and they are there. They are the father, so you have to give access
Mm.
the child has to have access to. Then the child will choose whether it's a bad father or a good father. But you don't get
Mm.
to choose. You get to
That's
choose
right.
your father, but you don't get to choose your what kind of father you're. Well, there
Yeah,
are exceptions in
yeah,
every situation, but in general, you don't get to dictate who's a good father and who's a bad father, especially
yeah.
if you're not being a good mother.
Yeah, that I mean that's I mean I totally agree with the whole the last I agree with everything you actually said. And in particular, Benjamin, you said you know these kids did not decide to come into you know they didn't say they didn't knock on the door and say, hey, listen, now I need to to be given birth to.
Yeah.
You know, this is a decision you came together with someone else and made, and then here came this beautiful child, and then it's within it's with the palm of your hands to say, hey, listen, things happen between me and your dad, or things will happen between you and your mom, but this is what's going to happen. I'm still going to be present in your life. I'm still
Mm.
going to be the best dad or the best mother I can be given the circumstances. But of course, fathers also, mothers also need to also maybe sometimes, as you say, have a conversation with themselves and say, hey, listen, this child actually needs a father. The father is there. But there can, of course, be other aspects in this that we are not going to go into today because every case is a different case. Um, and while you may be a good father, someone else may actually be not a good father. And so, for that reason, the mother may say, it's better that I protect my child from you because every time you come over you're drunk or you promise you're going to show up and you don't show up when you're supposed to show up. So these are disappointments that are being built in a child, which is not good for a child development. And of course that must be taken up as a dialogue instead of a mother saying you're bad, you're bad, you're bad. Take this dialogue up with the father, speak to the
But
father,
no,
don't indoctrinate
just a
the
second,
child into that.
just a second, John. We can never determine what is good for a child, what will inspire a child, what will not inspire a child. You will find that there are many people in life because of the type of father they had, it inspired them to be
To be better.
better people. So why are
Mm.
you denying your child that opportunity? Let him be around. If he's a bad dad, give him an example. You say, you see your dad. You want to grow up and be like him, give him that opportunity.
Mm.
But when you deny him, then he will not know what a bad father is. Huh?
Mm.
Then they'll
Mm.
grow up, they don't know the difference. Huh?
Mm. Because my issue is if you take that route and it's like, okay, if he's gonna be in one place, say if he comes here he comes to pick up the child and he's completely drunk, I'm personally not gonna allow the father to take the child out.
Of course, the law takes charge of that.
Do you know what I
But
mean? Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so.
you as a mother, like I said, you as a mother, you don't have the right to choose. Let the law take charge of that. Don't choose that you are dangerous to my child. You are not going to have access to it. No, there are laws that stipulate that are going to. Don't be the judge and the executioner.
Yes, of course.
Who
Yes, I
gave you
totally
that
get it.
power?
I totally get it. Yes, 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 yes. Who gave you that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just because
yeah.
you're the mother, he has the same right just
I'm
because.
also a father. Yeah, yeah. I'm a father. So yes, no, you're absolutely right. And so in this line of discussion, father, I would say now in our society, there's so many families that are breaking down. Um, what can we do? What is it that is going so wrong that you find families are just there's a lot of breakdown in families? You mentioned a little bit before that uh, people go into relationships and do this formation without really being sure what we're going into. I experienced when I look back, like historically, that even in Europe, people stuck together. And they decided to, despite of what was around them, they decided to stay together and raise the children, regardless. And looking back, obviously, we still have a bit of that back home. But what is it that is, can you give me like, can you offer us a perspective of what is it that, in your faithful opinion, whatever it is that is going wrong? Why is it difficult to stay with that family union, the family unit that is, there's so many divorces around me. There's so many kids trapped in between relationships. They're trapped in between a stepdad, a stepmom, a boyfriend, mommy's boyfriend, daddy's boyfriend. You see kids rotating from one home to another because mommy lives there, daddy lives there. And I just often wonder, what is it? Is it a natural flow to the society? That's where we're going now. That's where we are. What
Thank you
can
so
be, I mean, what can
much,
be done?
moderator. I would first drop back to the wonderful conversation that we've been having with Mr.
With Benjamin.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
Yeah, about how really we're not supposed to be very selfish.
Mm-hmm.
When looking at a child as a ball,
Yeah.
your mom, your dad,
It
your
does.
mom, your dad, and you allow the child to grow up in such an environment, who do you think that child is going to be when he grows up? Of course, like for you, dad, marrying a beautiful mom, he will as well go in and search for one,
Mm.
and indeed get one. Psychologically, is going to treat this lady almost even worse.
Mm.
So it all begins from the formation that we have received from the families we come from.
Mm.
Charity begins at home. We're Africans. However much we have quite so many challenges and shortcomings, but we are proud of the families where we came from, where we grew from. And actually, a little bit of the values that we still keep, even being away from home, we give thanks to our families because of the nurturance they gave us. Still have some respect. We have respect for other people and their property. We have respect. We listen. We don't judge people, because we're living in this community that really looks to be a little bit different from origin, different from our roots. The formation that we received, especially, is
Yeah.
something different.
Yeah.
Secondly, a mom and a dad, to be honest, when they get a moment of consenting and choosing to be together, we should not overlook at the circumstances that came before they came to meet, to be together and made a decision. Either it was a decision they made voluntarily or they gave birth to a child involuntarily.
Mm.
This is going to determine the way in which they are going to receive the child that is going to be born, either
Mm-hmm.
with love and hospitality or with, I don't need this child. The
Mm.
circumstances. We have had in the courts, in the ecclesiastical courts, so many married couples who come to have annulments. We don't call them divorce in the Catholic Church, annulments. They usually come with so many reasons. Come with reasons like simulation, come with reasons of they were lied to. Okay, some come with the reasons that, to be honest, this marriage never existed from day one because it has been total lie.
Mm.
Psychologically, emotionally, when one of the parts is already destroyed, there can sometimes be nothing to mend because this family, this bringing this child to life is between two people, mature people who have come autonomously, independently to make a firm decision. Me as a priest, if by the grace of God I've been invited to bless the marriage, yeah, I bless you that God blesses this that you've begun. But what God has put together, let no man asunder. It is between your wills. We choose to remain strong. And it depends on how it began,
Mm.
how it began.
Yeah.
We
Yes,
have
I
seen,
get.
we are, me, there are so many friends who share with us openly. They say, for me, my mom told me that my dad just raped my mom. Okay, that keeps with them for the rest of their lives. You can
Mm.
see automatically there can never be a bonding.
Mm.
Others come and say, you see, that lady, she really lied to me. This is
Mm.
my kid. And indeed, she was seeing me, but as well seeing another guy. So, but we are waiting for a kid together. So
Mm.
what comes? We are looking at already the result
Result.
without looking at
At the back.
antecedentally what came before, because
Mm.
this perpetually can have an effect for the rest of their life. Some people, like you said, Benjamin, stay in a house. They don't stay in a family. You see, because of some unspoken rage that they carry in their hearts.
Mhm. Mhm.
It would be nice sometimes in a home, for example, to always to boost communication,
Yeah.
to boost dialogue.
Yeah.
And like I said before, crisis
Mm.
doesn't mean breaking up. Crisis
Mm.
means we are maturing together. We are growing into challenges together. I'm
Mm.
growing to know my partner each and every day. Amid
Mm.
his challenges, amid his hard trials, I'm trying to be present. This
Yeah.
is exactly what the children are going to take. They will
Mm.
see the parents struggling, but together.
Mm.
Maybe they come and pray together
Mm.
sometimes.
Mm.
Maybe they speak good words of love amidst the poverty,
Mm.
amidst the sickness, amidst because we are humans and
Yes.
oftentimes we are complicated. We are complicated
Individuals,
breed, and
humans. Yes.
sometimes things come up and we don't even have control about what comes up. But the patience and understanding, and also remembering who we are. What are our
Yes.
values? What did our
Yes. That's
parents
true.
teach us? What have we been
Yes.
seeing from the childhood? I don't know,
Yes. Yes.
Benjamin, if I'm trying to rhyme with you in that way, because we don't want to preach, because this is it's an open forum
Discussion.
where we have the
Yes. Yes.
Catholics and even
Yeah.
non-believers. So it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
but this matter is very natural. It is
Mm.
very universal and objective for
Yes.
each and every person because we come
Yes.
from
That's true.
family.
Yes. Thank you
I don't
so
know
much,
what you think
Father.
of.
No, no, but it's thanks for the submission, and I think you're honestly there's so much said and there's so much truth, all of that that you say, because I think it touches everybody somewhere, somehow, regardless if you're in a relationship, if you were married, if you're not married, if you're a single someone. I think everything you say touches us somewhere, somehow, that communication is quite important. And I feel like what you said about the crisis doesn't mean it has to be the end of it. Crisis can mean this is an opportunity to learn my partner, to learn my husband, to get to know him more, and that crisis can bring us even closer together. And I think just before we continue, briefly back to kind of round up, I would probably I want to go for a cup of coffee. No, a glass of water, because I think we've all been talking a little bit much, which is wonderful. So to give ourselves a moment to have a glass of water or whatever it is, we're gonna go for some adverts, just 1 or 2 minutes, and we'll be back to round up our topic, which is the untold mysteries of fatherhood. With my guests, I have Mr. Benjamin Mukasa from Belgium, and then I have Father Ronald Kazue from Spain. I am so blessed to be here today. And me being a single mother myself of 4 children, I am getting so much out of this. And I hope that you viewers, you are doing just the same. So we're just going to go for a little break and we shall be back in a flash. Thank you. Hello, welcome back. Welcome back. I think we've all had a slurp of a glass of water and whatever it was that we needed to do. Thank you back, my viewers. Good to have you. I really hope that you get to interact with us either here or even later on when you get a moment to check into our Euroforum UG. We're both on YouTube and we are on Facebook Live. You are always welcome to go back and have a look and listen and put in your comments in terms of what you feel maybe hasn't been told. And I specifically I shout out to all the fathers, all the fathers to be, all those that are playing, that are in fatherly roles. We see you, we hear you, and you're doing a great job in wherever you are. Thank you so much, and your opinions are needed and they are appreciated. So feel free to comment. Also, of course, for mothers, yeah, that is also important. This is, in spite of everything, this is actually a parenthood we are talking about, in particular, the mysteries of the untold mysteries of fatherhood. What is it that fathers sometimes do not say? What is it that fathers sometimes go through? But also looking at it from the perspective of the faith aspect of it. What does fatherhood have to do with faith, and how can we tune into that? So again, thank you for every viewer that is on, and thank you once again for my guests. We are continuing and rounding up our show, and feel free to be part of it. Again, my name is Jonita, and I am here to talk to you here today. Thank you for your time. We are continuing on the mysteries, the untold mysteries of fatherhood, having my wonderful guest from Belgium, Benjamin Mukasa, and of course, Father Ronald Kazibwe. Thank you so much for being here. You're making this show worth listening to with the different aspects and different experiences of fatherhood, which is very important. So, um, Benjamin, how are you doing? Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And you are a father of two, you told me earlier.
Yes.
Yes.
My
Um,
my son is my second born. Is called Isaiah, and
uh-huh.
my daughter is my firstborn is called Peter May Martha.
Oh, wow. Beautiful names.
Thank you.
Isaiah is very biblical. And Martha is also biblical, actually.
Biblical, yeah.
Yes, yeah, but generally very beautiful names. And you are Benjamin. It ties in. It ties in.
It does.
Um, yes. So I was just here in my break, I was thinking about something
Mm,
that I wanted to delve a little bit into. You spoke about the mental aspect of what fathers go through
mm,
when they're, for example, denied to see their kids,
mm,
or when they are going to hardships. Like this is when you're no longer with your partner. But I'm
mm.
also interested in knowing fathers that are in marriages, fathers that are with their partners, fathers that are actually like is there nothing there that they also experience, mind you, that can be difficult? You know, things that ngabona ogamba ffe ng'abakyala, there are things that oba ng'abamaama waliwo obuntu obutonotono obwo bwe mutalaba mmwe ng'abasajja, you know, those big challenges that you don't necessarily get to see, that we don't even sometimes talk about to you, but we would speak of them to our sisters and this and that and family members. But these are not things that that society get to see. We can't pinpoint them. It's just something like that for fathers. Things where mentally they can be difficult to handle.
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, comparing is the worst thing you could ever do.
Mm.
Comparing a woman to a man, comparing a mother to a father, because these completely different, diverse entities.
Yeah, of course.
Being a woman is got its own components, and being a man is got its own components.
Absolutely.
Completely, sometimes they are actually parallel. They run along, but very far from each other, and some of them
Mm.
are completely opposite.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
to compare a mother with a father would be a wrong thing. But I'll
Mm.
tell you one thing: the biggest challenge of a father is the emotional attachment. You see, fathers don't talk about emotions, but it doesn't mean the emotions don't exist. And when you look at cultural way of handling emotions, when you look at, for example, where we come from in Africa, your men and fathers are taught,
We're
like
tough.
pounded in you that you have to suck it in
Mm.
and deal with
Yes.
it. Yes,
Yes.
for women, for mothers, actually they are encouraged to put it out, to let it go, you know. And with that comes sympathy. And the more you suck it in, is the more people don't know what you're going through. So it is hard to psychoanalyze you. And but even when you're going through the deep end of things, you are told not to show and not to talk about it and to move on. So for a father to get to the challenges emotionally a father goes through, it, it has to be broken.
Yes.
Men, until you see a man walking away, you can never know what a man is going through. And men, fathers, their reaction to a bad situation is excluding themselves from it. So a man can be in a relationship, in a marriage, and you will not know how much they suffer. Yet, for a woman, the whole village will know,
Yeah.
including the government will know, including the police will know. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think,
let's
yeah.
let's give a small example. When you are in an argument with your partner and he slaps you, nobody will know. Even her, she will not remember that. But you slap her, the whole village will know, the government will know, the police will come for you that very moment. So
Mm,
this is the contradiction, and so men suffer in silence.
yeah.
And until
I
we
think,
institutionalize men's uh, way out of situations and emotional support and accepting that a man can actually cry, that a man can actually break down, that a man can actually go into a depression because of things that happen in a family, things that are done to him by the partner.
mhm,
Then we can understand how to help a man who's going through this kind of thing. Then that's where we will know even exactly the complete picture of what a man could possibly, because there's nothing a woman goes through a man doesn't go through. A man will go through abuse like a woman. A man will go through uh, sexual harassment like a woman will do. A man will go through rape like a woman goes through. A man will go through battery in the home like a woman will go through, but it's always on one side that is seen, and on the other side, it's never given there. Until a
mm,
man commits suicide, then you know, oh, until a man dies, then you're like, oh, gee, this is what was happening to this guy.
mm. So would you say that that responsibility, I mean, you said that until, is there no level of responsibility that a man also can take? Is there no steps that a man can take, that the man or the father can take in elevating themselves from those circumstances? Because this whole thing of that, uh, I am of that opinion personally, that
Mm,
that change that we're so badly are looking for, or that a shift in society, often has to start with, with me, or with how do I do something, how do I get on, if I need the society to change, which steps do I need to take? Because obviously it's a different story, a Uganda. I think back home, what you're saying is absolutely in a nutshell. I mean, that is what it is. You are not allowed to show emotions. If you do, you are weak. If you do, you are not Tony Musajja enough, right? Here in Europe, it's probably the same, but there are ways that we can help. There are ways that, there are organizations that can help on this, and so I'm saying, is there any aspect we can take personal responsibility to get ourselves out of this? I mean, if I throw this question back to Father Kazibwe, what would you say in terms of, yes, we need to change the way we view men and them suffering and going through the hurdles, because as Benjamin said, I think he's also spot on in saying that we put a lot of emphasis on the woman's problems or challenges, and somehow think men don't go through those things. What can we do, perhaps ourselves, Fengaba Chala, but also Ngabami? What can be done
Thank you so
to
much.
remove that stigma, the stigma
Thank
that is
you,
attached to it?
moderator. First and foremost, it begins with us men. We really have to accept that we are not supermen. We are human. When I was in the Catholic parish of Gaba, I was in charge of the Catholic professionals, and I always had an opportunity of meeting men.
Yes.
So I didn't have so much experience, but I would always sit with them. These guys, open mindsets, they would share. They say, Father, I'm sharing with you because you're a priest. This is what we're going through.
Found, yeah.
The first thing is be ready to open up. Of course, everyone needs open space where no one is going to judge them. you know.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a priest. I don't think I can ever be biased and prejudicial. I will always listen. Sometimes listen to probe, listen so that someone pours out their pains. Men need that kind of healing space. They don't have that. Look at this community where we live. It is not easy. I'm a priest. Having connections here, it is a little bit complicated. So someone begins getting eaten up with so many thoughts, so many emotional challenges, and eventually, like he said, Benjamin, someone goes into a depression. Later, we hear someone committed suicide. And that's the end of them because they
Yeah.
lack open space to communicate
Yes.
what's going on in their lives,
Yes.
first and foremost.
Yes.
And then when we go back to our homes, our families, our mothers, we love you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, let's receive. If you've made a firm will to take on this guy, you have known his weaknesses and you're ready to grow up with him, accept him the way he is. I've had from, again, the sharings I've had with some few friends, they say, Father, perhaps we go to the bar because in the bar we get so much hospitality more than in my home. So when I go to the bar, I sit first and foremost. The lady comes, she gives me a very clean glass. She even knows what I drink. She serves me. Then my friends begin coming. We have conversations that sometimes even go on. And now, look, we have a lot of football in Europe. It's even a different stuff. So, in that way, it's escaping from the responsibility of being a father, is escaping from the responsibility of being a husband. Husband, okay, someone is running away from something because he
Yes.
knows wakane muchibira, I'll
Yes.
not be accepted katika nsigale kuchibira, you know.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the hospitality, the firmness, the charity that we create in our homes is what either invites or sends away these guys. It is okay to cry as men because we are humans. That is what we go through. You cry and and the world judges you. So what are some of the best, safest places to go? For me, I'm a priest, but sometimes it becomes too crazy. It becomes so hard. And I go before the Blessed Sacrament. I go before the Lord, and in my prayer, I cry because it's only God who sees deep, who sees in and out of us. He doesn't judge us. So the challenge that we have with the community, they judge us. They say, how can a man cry? That's where we came from. And then we hope to be strong. We cannot be strong because we are not supermen. Oftentimes we break up. So I would think the best way would be giving safe spaces for these gentlemen, showing them the way they are. And sometimes women also need to be very humble and receptive and listening because it will go back to some idea. It will take us to the submission. Because I feel like I'm a man, I should be masculine, I should be strong, I should be the caretaker of the home. When I speak, no one has to respond. So I have that kind of energy within me. So I feel like I can't accept anything from anyone can receive information. Your darling woman, your darling wife can always advise you. Oh, my dear beloved husband, I think you really you've now this vice is growing up. I think we can work on this. You listen because there's a dialogue and a communication in your home that will limit so many so many vices also in a way of bringing up together, parenthood, bring up together our children with respect, with obedience, with good values. So it begins with the dad being receptive, also being calm and being humble. Then secondly, it goes back to the community where we stay. Let's try to be a little bit open. Let's live in an open community, which is not so prejudicial, which is not so bad, which is not very judgmental. Because naturally, Every person faces a crisis in life. Every person really cries, and it's better to cry rather than keeping those tears for the future, because they breed into something even more worse. We could even ever. Let's always organize sometimes, if we can, special moments like these ones, where men
Yeah.
come and interact, where men come and share freely, men come and express what's going on through their lives. And then we share notes. We say, guys, how can we combat this? What
Yeah.
could be the solution to this? We say, for me, my family, my woman always beats me up. So we look at the root. Why does she beat you up? You see,
Yes.
yeah, domestic violence is, we used to
Yes.
think it were only women who were suffering domestic violence, but these
But
days,
men
men
also.
are suffering quietly because of
Yes.
the masculinity. How can we
Yes.
communicate? The community will laugh at me.
Yes.
Let's open up.
Okay. Thank you so
So
much.
yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Father. I mean, that's a brilliant submission about, I think you said, you mentioned, let's be less prejudiced. Let's allow everybody to be and to have an opinion and to speak. And I think I really appreciate the whole thing of creating rooms, creating space for men also to feel like they can be them, that they can open up about issues that are touching them, issues that they don't necessarily talk about. And I personally believe also that this is quite an interesting topic, because I think it touches a lot of people in areas that they were not expecting to be touched. And I think a lot of people are ignoring some of these things. Even you would speak to a fellow friend, a fellow man, and they will say something, just take it easy. Bera musajja. Sometimes it's exactly in those moments that you need to catch your friend, or catch, and then say, hey, listen, let's sit down and talk about it. It doesn't have to be bigger than that, because your friend gets to release and to put their shoulders down, and because they have somewhere to put, to empty from. So I really appreciate that. We have here Smogy from Denmark, who has he is saying, we differ in gender roles and how we look at love, if and how we look at love in parenting. But we just have to strike balance in case of some family imbalances in our roles. Otherwise, thanks for the show. Thank you, Smoky. And we have another gentleman here, Mr. Mutesa Sida. He says, great job, Mwami Mukasa. We walk through hell. The only problem is that we fathers rarely communicate our thoughts. That's exactly what we've been talking about, to the public. Whereas mothers, because they always look for sympathy from the community, they tend to portray a wrong picture of fathers. So then we have Joreen Nelson. Girl, how are you? How about in societies where the systems are not active? Then what is left to save, such as child? Because as well as a all know, monkey see, monkey do. Okay, so she is asking, what about in the societies where systems are not active? um, and what is the child then left to do, rather than seeing monkey do, monkey see? So I think what she's trying to say is when there's no activity, there's no, maybe when there's no fathers, or when there's no someone to look up to, what are children then left to do when they can't see what they're supposed to portray, as boys in particular? I'm thinking, what are they supposed to do when those fathers maybe are absent? If the fathers are not there, what are kids supposed to do in circumstances where fathers can be there, but they choose not to be there? So this is a question that is thrown back at you, both of you, but let me go with Mr. Mukasa first. This is Jolene asking
I
what to
don't
do.
know. I tried to read her
Yeah,
question.
I'm trying to understand what she
Trying
meant.
to understand, but I think what she was trying to mean is that in systems that are non-existent, should we say, uh, policing system, child support systems, or things like that. Well, you see, before there was always a cultural system. I mean, like for me, I come from the Buganda government. Sorry, Buganda kingdom, and
Uganda government.
uh, and there was always a system.
Yeah,
It has always been there.
yeah,
System where we have the cultural leaders
yeah.
always came in to sort out this kind of issue. So I don't know if we are talking in
Europe.
sometimes we want to put a point across, we make an imaginable an imagination of a situation, but in the actual sense it is not practical and it cannot exist, that there is a situation where there is no, however small, um should I say, however faulty it is, but there's always something that you can fall back on when it comes to parenting, or when it comes to asking for the rights of parenting, or when it comes to taking care of a child, which is parenting. But also when it comes to taking care of the parents when things are not going well, that is where we were at that point. Um, I think, yeah, religion has given a lot of support in that sense, like Reverend Father said, a lot of going to the servants of God and having counseling. That is a very good thing. But at the same time, after that, what happens? I mean, if you are in an abusive relationship and you go for counseling where they take care of you mentally, but you've not solved the problem. If you have a parenting issue, like you're fighting for custody and you're going through that emotional, mental torture,
Mm,
you go for counseling. They'll help you talk about it, but then is it solved?
no.
I mean, it goes beyond just dealing with the first aid. You have
Yeah,
to deal with the core cause of that problem. So we need to
yeah,
instill systems that are really fair and unbiased and yeah, and just. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a very good submission, and I'll probably agree with that too. That the core, because there's nothing you can put a plaster on something, but sometimes you need to get to the wound and deal with the wound. Well, however painful that wound may be, the plaster may not salt it, and so you need to treat that wound before you even think about putting a plaster on it, if you know what I mean. So I think there's a lot of situations I think where fathers, um, in my work, in the work that I do for a living, I have experienced many fathers that come to me often and say the system is not for us. Even here, I'm situated in Denmark, and for you who didn't know, but even here, you get fathers that are struggling. And so when Father Kaziwe says that this is a universal thing, fatherhood is a universal thing that crosses about all borders. And I also believe that there are problems that are very similar, no matter where you are and whichever country you're in. But I also think there's similarities in problems that are experienced. A, so when you say that you go to someone and you need custody and they say, okay, we'll have a chat, and that's not enough. I have experienced many fathers that are going through so many hardships and a verge of giving up because they're not listened to, their voices are not heard, or they meet biases out in the council where it's almost as if we're going to listen to her even if she's the one who's abusive. We're going to listen to her because she's the mother, even if she's the one who is, abusing the children in that matter. So when we talk about just because you're a mother, it doesn't mean that you know what's right for your child. Just because you're mother, it doesn't mean that you can love a child more than a father can love that child. I really believe that um, it takes presence. How present are you in the child's life? How giving are you? Are you there or are you not there? Benjamin, you mentioned earlier, it's not about the money. it's it's not about the money, because if it was about the money, you could give them 1 million and disappear and be out of their lives forever. Would that make you a good dad? No, they will remember the money. Or would that make you a good mommy? They'll remember the money, but they won't remember you. So which memories are you creating with your child? And for us mothers, some mothers, I'm not going to speak for all, maybe we need to work better at this whole thing of thinking about the thing that was mentioned earlier by both of my guests. What is it that fathers are going through? What is it? What does this thing that I'm doing or giving myself permission to do, what is that doing to fathers' mental well-being? um, and so I really agree on that, and I really appreciate the submissions that have been given today. And I just want to say once again, before we round off, that my guests today have been Mr. Kazibwe. No, Father Ronald Kazwe, my apologies, Father Ronald Kazwe from Spain. Um, I am so honored to have met you, and I'm so honored to have you here. And in fact, when I heard your father, I thought I would see gray hair. I would see someone who's so, but you are young and you're vibrant, and I really think it is so important to have a father like you in a community that probably also can connect with all generations across the board, in particular, understanding and tuning into what young men also, and young fathers are going through in today's society. So your submissions have been amazing. Thank you so much. And then Mr. Mukasa Benjamin, thank you so much. Meeting you as well. Your submissions are definitely lived experiences. And I am really, really hoping that there is a way that we as a society can come together and do better. Just as much as effort we put into fighting for mothers, that we can also put in that effort fighting for fathers and their rights and their accessibility to information, because as I said in the beginning of the show, I can't be here without the father of my children, and neither can he be a father without me making him a father, or I can't be a mother without him making me a mother. Um, and so I really appreciate your time here today, and I believe that everything comes with a manual, and this is the thing I always say, everything comes with a manual. You buy a television that tells you how to fix it. You go get any furniture, there will be page 5, you do this. And but there's one thing that doesn't come with a manual, and that's being a parent. You are thrown out in it, and either your mother or your father, you have to do the best with what you have uh, at your disposal. And we have to have better understanding as parents between ourselves, in order to give a good foundation for our children. So before I proceed, I just want to give a last submission, a round of comment to Father Kazibwe. Is there any round of comments you wanna give us before we close off for the show? And then I'll
Really
go
very
to
delighted,
yeah.
very delighted to be part of this panel. Our moderator, my brother Benjamin, and all of you viewers, wherever you are. It's really awesome coming together as a community, having a sharing about pertinent issues that really affect the community where we come from, and having this is an open space where we can really come to learn something, because learning never comes to an end. Every time there is something new to learn. Today we really give thanks and we give our fathers their flowers. They have really done a very wonderful job in our lives, in our formation, in the strength, in the courage they have given us. It is the father really gives you that figure. I had the figure of my father up to now, though Sometimes he was scared. Sometimes he was even not sure. Sometimes he was afraid, but he would not communicate. Here we are because of their good job in us. Mothers have done also a very good, wonderful job. But tonight, we really want to appreciate and give thanks to the Father. I want us to go with this. Who is not only biological reality or a social reality, it is a calling to love visibly and invisibly. That's why we say a father has to be part of a life of a child by right. Because when you talk of a right, it can either be positive law, which is the civil, but also by natural law, divine law, because it is an ordination by God that a father has to grow with a son. He has to give the child strength, the gentleness to grow in faith, self belief, and consistency in their life. Every father who tries deserves to be really be given their flowers. So a father who tries really deserves gratitude. And every father who has failed, of course, many have failed. We are not supermen. So those who have failed deserves they also deserve a chance to begin again. So may God bless all fathers, strengthen those who are tired, heal those who are wounded, and hope all of us will learn to honor them tonight better.
Mm.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much, Father. Oh, what a lovely, lovely submission, lovely last comment. Thank you so much. And before we go, then, Mr. Mukasa, do you have any last one or two words to add about today's topic, which has been the untold mysteries of fatherhood?
I think because I'm nearer to my 40 to my 50s than than to my 40s. So I think I'm at a stage in my life where I every time I have to say something, I speak out of wisdom and experience. So my closing remarks will be one. Um, yes, I'll refer to the Bible. There is a famous verse that says, "What the Lord puts together, let no man put asunder." So I'll tell you, most challenges fathers get are because they are not with their children, or they have limited access to their children. And who instigates that? It might be family, it might be the mother, it might be the law, but there is always accountability for that. And most of the time, these kind of stories don't end well for the people who perpetrate those kind of situations. So do not be a target of God, especially mothers, to separate their children from their fathers. And two, when a man is going through something difficult, um, there is little support, so we need to try and put the support system, whether it is culturally, whether it is socially, or in all those cases. Sometimes why men go to pubs is because they're looking for a place to release their stress and pressure and be in another environment other than being in a stressful environment. But that is not the solution, because still then you bring up other new problems, which is not good. So let's try and treat each other better. Let's try and be better parents. Let's try and think more of the children and not ourselves, because we are the ones who choose to bring the children on earth, and the children have the right to have both parents. If you're a father, do not mistreat the mother of your children. If you're a mother, do not mistreat the father of your children. Otherwise, thank you everybody for tuning in and listening in. Continue supporting Euroforum Uganda and click like, subscribe, and share. Let's make Euroforum Uganda the most popular diaspora forum in the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Mukasa. Wonderful. What a lovely submission. And last remark, thank you so much. I can't even add anything to what Mr. Mukasa or Father Kazue has said. I think you just finished off the show so wonderfully. All I can say is I appreciate the fathers in whichever father role you may be. You may be a father, you may be a stepdad, you may be a father role to someone who lost their father, whichever way that may look like. You are important, you are needed in our community and our society. In fact, you are one of those 2 billion fathers there are in the world today. That's what is estimated. That's how many fathers we have on this planet. Now, you are, regardless of what challenges you're going through, regardless of what unspoken mysteries that you may have, um, or any difficulties you're facing, remember there is always someone ready to listen. Take hold of a friend. Look out for societies and organizations that can support and help you. Don't die in silence with issues that are really messing up your heart. You are needed. And on this show here today, it was all about you, actually. We were speaking of you. We were trying to dissect what goes on, what you go through, what is it that we do not see as the society or as women. And I have to say, my guests have done a brilliant job at that. Thank you for everybody who's been interacting today. Wonderful. You've made the show worth its while. And I just want to say yet again, thank you for the whole Euroforum UG personnel and team, which I cannot go through all of you here today, but you know yourselves, you make this show stand, you make the show go on, and you make it such a success. So without you, I wouldn't be sitting here and presenting. And I really appreciate all the support that you are doing. I want to send out a specific thank you to our lady in the tech who takes care of the flyers, Jeanette. Jeanette, thank you so much. You are really also appreciated, and I really appreciate the quick work and always at hand in spite of having your own thing going on. You're always ready to give a hand to make these wonderful flyers go through. Thank you so much, Jeanette. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody else in Euro Forum UG as much as I appreciate our guest here today. Thank you so much for making it out of your schedule and joining me here today. Let the conversation continue in the comment section. Let's interact. Let's keep this conversation going. And thank you so much for having me here today. Again, my name is Jonita Namata Bale, based in Denmark, and I have been your host today. Have a lovely week ahead, and may God bless you. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. Adios.
Welcome to Euroforum UG, where we address Ugandans from Europe, USA, Asia, Africa, Australia, and all over the globe. We share experiences, opinions, and expertise on current affairs, educative lifestyle, religion, and family matters. Follow, subscribe, and like our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Euroforum UG. You can also join our live shows every weekend on our social media platforms. For more information, visit our social media platforms or email us at euroforumug@gmail.com or WhatsApp us on +4740 574040. Euroforum UG, communicating with peers.